Here, look, I want to ask the Minister, can he outline the measures contained within the National Broadband Plan to ensure equality in the rollout of broadband services for rural areas, rural communities and rural regional towns, and if you make a statement on the matter.
Thank you, Deputy Aylward. I welcome the opportunity to provide the House with an update on the Government's National Broadband Plan. The National Broadband Plan aims to ensure that every citizen and business has access to high-quality, high-speed broadband service. This will be achieved through a combination of commercial investments and a state-led intervention in areas where commercial services are not provided. While the intervention area will be served by state intervention includes some urban areas, it is predominantly rural and regional Ireland who will require a step change in the bridge to bridge the digital divide, separating them from their urban counterparts. As the Deputy will know, my department is in a formal procurement process to select a company that will roll out a high-speed broadband network in the state intervention area. That procurement process is now in the final stages. My department will engage with the successful bidder on the most efficient rollout of the network. As part of the deployment, the successful bidder will be required to provide early high-speed connectivity to previously identified high-speed strategic community access hubs across the country. The network that will be built by the successful bidder in the state intervention area will be a fully open access network providing wholesale telecommunication services. The contract will mandate that all retail service providers have open access to the infrastructure, which will result in consumers having access to a range of providers. The terms and conditions of this access will be monitored throughout the contract. So to answer the question that Deputy Aylward has asked me is yes, there will be equal access to this network. This network will be built out by the company, which is SSE ENET. It will be a wholesale company, and they will lease that line then to the traditional retailers that are available in Kilkenny City and in every other city across the country to provide the same package and offer to people in rural areas.
To point out that the mechanisms which are currently in place for public representatives to follow up on behalf of their constituency in respect of broadband are basically non-existent. I think that's important. I recently contacted your department's dedicated broadband email helpline regarding a constituency of mine in Ballybeg, Rossberwick and New Ross. I raised it here before with you personally. The resident is located in the middle of a dark blue area on the National Broadband Plan map, and they have no access to broadband. It took a month to secure a response from your department, which stated that they were aware of a number of residents in dark blue areas which cannot access high-speed broadband, and they are keep the list of same. I had to read a few times before I could believe. I had to read this a few times before I could believe it. I had to wait a month for an email telling me that the departments keep the list. Meanwhile, my constituency sits surrounded by neighbours who have all access to high-speed broadband, and he can't access this. I don't want to explain why. Minister, as the endless wait for works to commence under the National Broadband Plan rumbles on, can you speak to your officials about providing an adequate service to public representatives? Can you also speak to AIR about setting up a dedicated Roxas query line, as the case with the ESB, Electric Ireland and OSE? I think that's important for us here to represent the people that we represent.
First of all, Deputy Aylward, can I apologise for the delay in the response to you, and it's not good enough. It is an issue that I have raised with my officials in the past, and I will take it back on foot of your comments here today. Secondly, in relation to AIR, I hope to meet with the new owners of AIR early next month, and I will inform them of your comments in relation to that. Thirdly, in relation to the dark blue area, yes, this is a problem across this country where there are areas which we're told by the private operators that high-speed broadband is available to them, and it isn't actually available to them. A very minimum of 30 megabits a second, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's why on a number of occasions here in the House, before we locked down the map, I asked colleagues here to make the public aware that if they were in a dark blue area and that they weren't receiving that minimum basic standard, that they would come forward with their air code so we could amend the map. We are noting all of those areas. We will be amending the map to reflect that, and those areas will, and those particular premises will have to be addressed either through a universal service obligation or through the NBP. But no one, whether it's in O'Connell Street in Dublin or the most peripheral part of County Kilkenny or County Roscommon or County Clare, will get access to high-speed broadband.
Line, if you could, when you speak there, if you could get that for us. We have those in other areas from the ESB, and it's a fair helpful to us to make our representations. If you could do that there, ask them to give a dedicated line so that the members of this House here can actually represent their constituents and find out what the problem is. Not like the situation I raised there with you, where we're getting no response, a month goes by and the response then is negative. If you could do that. I also want to say that the single bidder that's left, are you worried that there's only one bidder left for this to roll out this broadband? You know, we started with 3 or 4 and then we ended up with 2 and then we eventually ended up with 1. From a competition point of view, are you happy that the bidder that's left will be able to provide the service that you request, and what the time scale that you're setting? Are you still setting 2020, 2021 as the rollout of this broadband, and will you stick to that now, or will it be prolonged again in another 6 months' time, which has happened before?
First of all, in relation to the dedicated line, yes, I will take that up with AIR. That's the first thing. Secondly, in relation to the fact that we've one contractor, no, I am confident that we can roll this out. In fact, from engagement with the company, I believe that they're looking to see how they can actually fast-track the build-out of it now, and they are already engaging in relation to that. Significant progress has been made since it was last here in the House, and I'm determined to get the contract signed as quickly as possible, but more importantly to actually start physically seeing the rollout across the country of the final phase of this, and we expect that 90% of the country will be covered by 2020. We already see, in relation to the Comrade quarterly reports, significant improvements in the quality of broadband and in the coverage of broadband that people have on an ongoing basis, on a quarterly basis. It is improving, and we are seeing a significant step change in relation to that. But it's still not good enough until every single home, every single business and every single farm has access to it.